Welcome back to Open Line, talking about politics, also a preview for the Tennessee legislative session. We have Joel Ebert with us with the Tennessean. All right, some of the bills. Guns, always a big issue up there. I mentioned earlier the push for permitless carry. They call it constitutional carry.
Right.
That's one. There are always several bills.
Right.
What do you see as far as guns?
Well, we haven't seen much filed right now, so this is kind of speculation and just from what I've talked to some members about. But TFA, the Tennessee Firearms Association, is going after permitless carry. That's what they want. They want to essentially want to change the state's laws, bolden it to reflect our stand your ground law, which is what we saw in the Trayvon Martin case in Florida. I've heard that we don't have the same kind of thing. If somebody's threatening you and you shoot back, that you can't claim the same defense as you can in Florida. I haven't seen that to be true. I haven't read too much about it, but I do anticipate some kind of legislation on that. We will definitely see other gun-related issues. One might be to kind of completely eliminate any gun-free zones. We've got some in the state, not many, but there are some, and that's what at least the proponents are going after. And
you have, with this constitutional carry, it's in other states. It's been passed in other states like Missouri.
Yep.
We have John Harris come on the show every once in a while, and he talks about it, but he also expresses, as he did in the article that you wrote, his frustration with some of the Republican leadership. He's frustrated it hasn't passed thus far.
Right.
Is there any sense it's going to be any different this time?
So one of the big things that could occur, and this is largely because Ron Ramsey is going to be gone. Lieutenant Governor Ramsey was somebody who he essentially was the father of our modern permit system, and so it would be kind of seen as like an insult to the guy who instituted the permit system to get rid of that. So now that he's gone, there is the potential that you have more people that are like, oh well, this guy's not going to be there to put the fist down. You might have more votes on it flipping. Last year, a permitless carry bill died in committee on I think it was like a 4-4 vote, and it was very close. And I would have wondered what would have happened to it if it made it through that committee. I think we're going to see it make it through one committee and could potentially go to the floor, at least in one of the chambers. We don't know that for sure, but the big talking point is it's going on in other states like West Virginia. Why isn't it happening in Tennessee, which is seen as should be seen by many as a gun-friendly state?
We spent a lot of time last year on some other bills, the Bible bill, the bathroom bill. Do you think some of these things are coming back? The Bible bill, certainly not. Well, I don't know. I'll let you answer. What do you think?
So on the Bible bill, I've not talked to the sponsors of the legislation last year. I've tried to call them, haven't heard back. But basically what I've been told is if there is a Bible bill that comes back, it would be a very specific Bible. Before it was the Holy Bible in general, not any specific Holy Bible, but it could be the governor's Bible that he swore in on when he was inaugurated.
And I guess remind us again what it would be. Would that
sure.
be? It would be well, tell us what that would be.
It would be a bill to make the Holy Bible the official state book. And it was controversial because it was seen as something that people say you're making it a very flippant thing. It's sacrilegious. Other people saw it as like a church and state issue. But by narrowing it down and saying this specific Bible, some people believe that would avoid a lawsuit and saying that you're trying to force this, kind of like when last year they named the state sniper rifle the official rifle of the state.
Right, they did. That's right. So that could come back up.
It's possible, yeah, we'll see.
The bathroom bill. What about that?
Another very controversial bill. That one.
I guess first tell us what
sure.
that is. It's the transgender.
Yeah, this one would have required students in school to go to the bathroom that was of the sex on their birth certificate. You had some people, the advocates for it, were saying this is a privacy issue and a safety issue. You had the opponents of it saying that this is just another example of extreme animosity towards transgender people and members of the LGBT community. And so this is, it was extremely controversial. Representative Susan Lynn, who was the sponsor of the legislation last year in the House, she has said that she doesn't plan on bringing it back this year. That doesn't mean that it's not coming back, though. You know, like any legislation, one member might like an idea, and another member may say, "Hey, I'm going to take that and file a bill on it." But we'll see.
There was some fascinating kind of maneuvering that happened around that bill.
Yeah,
they kind of. In the committee, if I remember right, they walked away from it. They said, we'll defer it maybe, or send it off to summer study, or whatever it is. And then they said, nope, actually, we're going to move forward.
So a lot of that was through pressure. I mean, you have people there, lobbyists and outside organizations, that were pressuring this issue. They were really trying to make it happen. And so one group specifically was targeting members of one of the House Education Committees and said, we think you need to reconsider your actions. And it was kind of this, wow, nobody saw this coming. Next thing you know, they revisited it. They passed it out of a committee before Representative Lynn ended up tailing the bill off, holding it back. A lot of that we had heard was behind the scenes because there were concerns from the governor's office. We didn't hear anything official out of the governor's office, but I think there was outside pressure on both sides of the issue.
Is there, okay, so these bills, they're somewhat controversial. We also had last session some of the counseling bills, and that has cost Tennessee some conventions. Some people have been so upset, businesses have been so upset by that bill, which is now law, that they have said we're not coming to Tennessee.
Right.
First of all, do you see anything on the horizon that would be that controversial, that could cause an uproar along those lines?
Well, it's interesting because, I was talking to State Senator Jeff Yarborough today, and he said he thinks that Trump's administration and his presidency potentially could give Republicans in this state a permission slip to just do whatever they want. And that could mean, hey, let's get some extreme legislation out there that this state has not seen. Now, I can't fathom what that might be, but you might see a Republican say, hey, I kind of like that North Carolina law that actually went after some in the the LGBT community, and they might want to put that into their agenda items for this year. I haven't heard anybody say that, but again, it's possible. I think the thing on these controversial issues is we don't really know them until it actually happens.
Right.
So it's something that everybody's just kind of waiting for, and we are all. I mean, every day I go back to the legislative website and see what's the next bill that's been filed, and there's been nothing. So we're just kind of slowly waiting for the floodgates to open, and soon enough they will.
And sometimes in the bill filed in kind of just a very nondescript way, and then the language is in there that's like, holy cow.
I don't know what this means, but there might be something on there that is really interesting.
All right, health care, obviously with Trump being elected, Affordable Care Act, he says he's going to repeal it and replace it. Tennessee and its health issues, where do you think we are there?
Well, at first we thought we might be in a holding pattern in terms of House Speaker Beth Harwell. She organized a legislative committee to look into slowly expanding health care coverage. It would be a pilot program. Now we've been hearing lately that they want to move forward with that plan because the new Trump administration may issue block grants when it comes to health care. And if they do that, the folks on the legislative committee, Cameron Sexton, the chairman on that committee, has said, that's great for us because we're in the early process of having a plan formulated that could get expedited by the feds. I think that Democrats are going to continue to push Insure Tennessee, the governor's plan that failed a couple of years ago. We're going to probably see continued pressure on health care, though.
We've had, obviously, some horrible, tragic school bus wrecks.
Right.
I interviewed the speaker on, she supported a bill that would mandate seatbelts on new school buses many years ago. Didn't go anywhere. She said she supports it again. Do you think anything? Do you see any? Have you heard anything along those lines?
Yeah, I definitely think there's movement in that. Much like after the Chattanooga shooting, the terrorist shooting that happened a few years ago, we saw legislation, not only be introduced but implemented into law last session as a result of the shooting. We're going to see some stuff that is, either wildfire or fire related, and we're going to see some seatbelt or school bus related, legislation. And I do think it has momentum. I think you've got such an outcry by people throughout this state, by leaders of it. I think the governor has flat out said we need to be open about anything when it comes to school bus safety. I think that you will see some movement on both.
That's interesting. Okay, we'll take a break. We'll come back, wrap everything up. Be back right after this.